The massive Zeraxian reconnaissance ship hung silent against the inky blackness of space, its crystalline hull reflecting the distant starlight. Commander Krell 9 adjusted the quantum resonance filters, his scaled fingers moving with practiced precision. The mission was straightforward: survey the newly discovered terrestrial planet and assess its potential strategic value. Preliminary scans are inconclusive, Lieutenant Vora reported, her translucent membranes flickering with mild frustration. The planet shows signs of advanced technological development, but nothing that should pose a significant threat to our reconnaissance. Little did they know how wrong they were. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez stood in the underground research facility, his eyes fixed on the holographic display. The prototype quantum adaptive defense system hummed with potential, a culmination of years of desperate innovation. Humanity had learned the hard way that the universe was not a kind place, and survival demanded creativity beyond conventional warfare. The first contact was almost anticlimactic. A sudden energy spike, a momentary distortion in the atmospheric boundary, and then the Zeraxian scout ship materialized just beyond Earth's orbital perimeter. Marcus watched as military communications began their standard protocols, a dance of diplomatic caution and strategic positioning. "This is Lieutenant Commander Elena Reyes of Earth Defense Command," the communication officer's voice crackled with controlled tension. "Unidentified vessel, you are entering restricted space. State your intentions." Commander Krell 9 allowed himself a moment of typical Zeraxian superiority. Their species had traversed hundreds of star systems, subjugated numerous civilizations. This would be another routine encounter, a quick assessment, perhaps a show of technological might, and then move on. "Planetary Survey Team Gamma 9, he responded, his universal translator converting his complex linguistic clicks into standard human speech. "We are conducting a routine exploratory mission. Prepare for standard inspection protocols." Marcus watched the exchange, a slight smile playing on his lips. The Zeraxians had no idea what was coming. The first indication that something was different came when the scout ship attempted its standard scanning procedure. Normally, their quantum-penetrative scanners could map an entire planetary defense grid in milliseconds. But here, something bizarre happened. The scanners met an adaptive interference field that seemed to morph and change faster than the ship's computational systems could process. It was as if the planet itself was alive, responding to the technological probing with an intelligence that defied comprehension. "Impossible," Krell 9 muttered, his confidence wavering. Lieutenant Vora's readings became increasingly erratic. Subsystem after subsystem began to report anomalies, not damage, but a kind of technological neutralization that they had never encountered. On Earth, Marcus Rodriguez watched with quiet satisfaction. The quantum adaptive defense system was working perfectly. It wasn't just a shield or a weapon, it was a living, thinking technological organism that learned and adapted in real time. The Zeraxian ship began to experience system-wide disruptions. Navigation became unreliable. Communication channels fragmented. For the first time in their long history of galactic exploration, the mighty Zeraxian reconnaissance vessel found itself completely outmaneuvered by a planet they had assumed would be a simple survey mission. "This is not possible," Krell 9 said, a note of panic entering his voice. "Lieutenant, initiate emergency protocols." But it was too late. The adaptive defense system had already begun its systematic neutralization of the alien technology. Not through destruction, but through a complex process of technological assimilation and redirection. Elena Reyes's voice cut through the communication channel. "Commander Krell 9, I suggest you reconsider your approach. Humanity is not what you expected." The Zeraxian ship hung motionless, its once proud systems reduced to a state of confused paralysis. And in that moment, the first true lesson of humanity's technological prowess was being written, not through violence, but through an unexpected and revolutionary approach to defense. Marcus Rodriguez allowed himself a moment of pride. This was more than a technological breakthrough. This was a statement to the universe: humanity would not be conquered. They would adapt, They would innovate, and they would defend themselves in ways no one could predict. First Contact had just become something entirely different from what anyone had expected. The aftermath of the First Contact reverberated through both human and Xeraxian communication networks. What had begun as a routine reconnaissance mission had transformed into something far more complex, a technological chess match that challenged everything the Xeraxians understood about interstellar dynamics. Deep within the Xeraxian command ship, Commander Krell 9 faced an unprecedented interrogation. The High Council's quantum-synced communication array crackled with barely contained fury. "Explain," demanded Archon Zaryux, his multifaceted eyes projected through the holographic interface. "How did a supposedly primitive species neutralize our most advanced reconnaissance technology?" Krell 9 struggled to articulate the inexplicable. The ship's systems had been more than disabled, they had been systematically understood, analyzed, and effectively rendered impotent by a defense mechanism that seemed to think and adapt in real time. Back on Earth, the scenario was equally intense. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez found himself in a high-security briefing room, surrounded by military strategists and scientific experts. The quantum adaptive defense system he had developed was no longer just a theoretical project, it was now a critical piece of humanity's potential survival strategy. "The system doesn't just defend," Marcus explained, his fingers dancing across a holographic interface. "It learns. Every technological interaction becomes a new data point." The Xeraxian ship didn't just encounter a shield, it encountered an intelligent, evolving defensive network. Colonel Elena Reyes leaned forward, her military precision contrasting with the almost philosophical nature of the technological breakthrough. "Are you saying our defense system can actually communicate with alien technology?" Marcus nodded. "More than communicate. It can understand, interpret, and ultimately neutralize technological threats by essentially speaking the same language, but on our terms." The implications were staggering. Humanity had inadvertently created something beyond a traditional weapon or defense system. It was a technological organism that could potentially revolutionize how species interacted in the cosmos. Meanwhile, aboard the stranded Xeraxian ship, Lieutenant Vora worked frantically to understand what had happened. The ship's quantum processors had been reduced to what almost seemed like a state of technological meditation. Systems that should have been aggressively combative were instead passive, as if being gently examined by an infinitely patient intelligence. "We're being studied," Vora whispered to herself, a realization that sent cold shivers through her neural network. The humans weren't just defending, they were learning. The Xeraxian High Council deliberated. Some advocated for an immediate retaliatory strike, a show of force that would demonstrate their technological superiority. Others, more cautious, argued for further investigation. Archon Zaryux made a decision that would alter the course of interstellar relations. "We will send a diplomatic envoy," he declared. "Not as conquerors, but as students." On Earth, the news of the potential diplomatic mission created a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Humanity had always dreamed of first contact, but never quite like this. The quantum adaptive defense system had transformed what could have been a potential invasion into an opportunity for unprecedented interaction. Dr. Rodriguez understood the true magnitude of their achievement. This wasn't just about defending against an alien threat. It was about demonstrating a fundamentally different approach to technological and interspecies interaction, one based on understanding rather than domination. As preparations began for the potential diplomatic encounter, one thing became clear: humanity had just changed the rules of engagement in the cosmic arena. The Xeraxians had arrived expecting to survey a potential conquest. Instead, they had encountered a species capable of turning technological aggression into a nuanced dialogue. The universe was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon was not its technology, but its capacity for adaptive, intelligent response. The diplomatic shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere with a deliberate, almost cautious precision. Unlike previous alien encounters in humanity's fictional narratives, this arrival was marked by a profound sense of uncertainty. The Xeraxian delegation, led by diplomat Xanare, carried with them not weapons, but an unprecedented willingness to understand. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez and Colonel Elena Reyes waited at the specially constructed First Contact Pavilion, a facility that blended cutting-edge technology with deliberate openness. The building itself was a testament to humanity's approach, adaptable, transparent, yet fundamentally protective. "They're not here to conquer," Marcus muttered, more to himself than to Elena. "They're here to comprehend." The shuttle's exterior shimmered with an iridescent quality unique to Xeraxian technology. As it touched down, the surrounding environmental shields automatically adjusted, a subtle demonstration of the quantum adaptive defense system's continuous monitoring. Diplomat Xanare emerged first, their form a complex biomechanical hybrid that defied traditional biological classifications. Multiple sensory appendages extended, scanning the environment with a mixture of caution and genuine curiosity. "Greetings," Xanare spoke, the universal translator rendering their complex linguistic patterns into crisp, almost melodic human speech. "We come to understand, not to challenge." Elena stepped forward, her military posture softened by a carefully practiced diplomatic demeanor. "Welcome to Earth. We're prepared to share, selectively." The initial hours of the encounter were nothing like traditional first contact scenarios. Instead of technical specifications or territorial negotiations, the discussions revolved around technological philosophy. The Xeraxians were fundamentally confused by humanity's approach to technological development. "Your systems do not seek to dominate," Xanare observed during a preliminary discussion. "They seek to communicate, to understand, to coexist." Marcus seized the opportunity. "Technology isn't just a tool for us. It's an extension of our collective intelligence, our capacity to adapt and grow." The turning point came during a demonstration of the quantum adaptive defense system. Rather than showcasing destructive capabilities, Marcus revealed how the system could actually heal and restore damaged technological networks. What the Xeraxians had initially interpreted as a weapon was actually a complex problem-solving mechanism. Lieutenant Vora, who had accompanied the diplomatic mission, found herself increasingly fascinated. The human approach challenged everything in the Xeraxian technological paradigm. Their civilization had always viewed technology as a means of control, of subjugation. Humans saw it as a form of communication, of mutual understanding. A breakthrough moment occurred when Marcus demonstrated how the quantum adaptive system could actually repair a damaged section of the Xeraxian shuttle's communication array. Not by imposing human technology, but by understanding the inherent logic of the alien system and gently guiding it towards optimal functionality. "You're healing our technology," Xanare said, a note of genuine wonder entering their translation. "Not replacing it. Not conquering it. Helping it become its best version." The implications were profound. The Xeraxians had arrived expecting to categorize humanity as another potential conquest or technological inferior. Instead, they were witnessing a fundamentally different approach to technological interaction. Elena understood the strategic importance of this moment. This wasn't just a diplomatic encounter, it was a redefinition of interstellar relations. Humanity was demonstrating that strength wasn't about overwhelming force, but about intelligent adaptation and genuine understanding. As the first day of negotiations concluded, something had fundamentally shifted. The Xeraxians were no longer viewing humans as a potential threat to be neutralized. They were seeing them as a unique intelligence, a civilization with a technological philosophy that was both alien and remarkably sophisticated. "We have much to learn," Xanare finally admitted, a statement that would have been unthinkable mere days earlier. Marcus Rodriguez allowed himself a subtle smile. Humanity had just demonstrated its most powerful weapon, not a tool of destruction, but an unprecedented capacity for intelligent, empathetic problem-solving. The universe was about to change. And humanity was leading the way. The weeks following the initial diplomatic encounter transformed the Xeraxian perception of humanity in ways no one could have predicted. What began as a potential conflict had become an unprecedented scientific and cultural exchange that challenged the fundamental understanding of technological interaction. Deep within a collaborative research facility hastily constructed near the First Contact Pavilion, Dr. Marcus Rodriguez and diplomat Zanare worked side by side, bridging technological and biological understanding that defied conventional interspecies communication. Your quantum adaptive system is more than a defense mechanism, Zanare observed, their sensory appendages carefully analyzing a holographic representation of the technology. It's a living form of intelligence. Marcus nodded. We don't see technology as something separate from ourselves. It's an extension of our collective problem-solving capability. The true nature of humanity's ultimate weapon began to reveal itself not through destructive potential, but through an unprecedented ability to understand, adapt, and transform potential threats into opportunities for growth. Meanwhile, a separate team of Xeraxian and human researchers uncovered something extraordinary. The quantum adaptive defense system wasn't just a technological shield, it was a comprehensive learning network that could analyze and integrate different technological paradigms at an almost instantaneous rate. Colonel Elena Reyes oversaw the more strategic implications of this discovery. During a closed-door briefing, she outlined the potential significance to senior military and diplomatic officials. We're looking at more than a defensive technology, she explained, holographic displays showing complex interaction patterns. This is a universal translation system for technological languages. It doesn't just protect, it communicates, learns, and evolves. The Xeraxian High Council received reports that both thrilled and terrified them. Their initial reconnaissance mission had inadvertently exposed a species with a fundamentally different approach to technological development. Humanity didn't seek to conquer, they sought to understand. Lieutenant Vora, who had become something of a bridge between Xeraxian and human researchers, discovered the most shocking aspect of the quantum adaptive system. It wasn't just reactive, it was predictive. The system could anticipate potential technological conflicts and develop solutions before they became problems. A critical moment came during a simulated scenario where the system was presented with a complex interstellar communication challenge. Instead of defaulting to standard communication protocols, it created an entirely new method of information exchange that bridged the vast differences between Xeraxian and human technological frameworks. It's like watching thought itself become a weapon, Zanare remarked, a mixture of awe and slight trepidation in their translated speech. The implications were staggering. Humanity had developed a technology that was less about destruction and more about comprehensive understanding. It could neutralize potential threats not by eliminating them, but by fundamentally transforming the nature of the conflict. Marcus Rodriguez understood the deeper philosophical implications. Our greatest strength, he told Elena during a private moment, is our ability to see potential where others see only conflict. As the research continued, the Xeraxian delegation began to realize that they had encountered something unprecedented. Humanity's weapon was not a tool of war, but a mechanism of unprecedented communication and problem-solving. The final demonstration came during a complex simulation involving multiple potential interstellar conflict scenarios. Where traditional defensive systems would have responded with escalation, the quantum adaptive system found solutions that transformed potential confrontations into opportunities for mutual understanding. We are not preparing for war, Marcus explained to the assembled researchers. We are creating a universal language of technological cooperation. The universe watched and waited. Humanity had just redefined what it meant to be powerful, not through force, but through an unparalleled capacity for intelligent adaptation. The unconventional weapon was not a device of destruction, but of understanding. And it would change everything. The diplomatic summit that followed the technological revelations was unlike any interstellar meeting in recorded history. Representatives from multiple alien civilizations gathered on Earth, drawn by rumors of humanity's unprecedented approach to technological interaction. The Galactic Concordance Chamber, a massive circular hall designed to accommodate diverse biological forms, buzzed with anticipation. Delegates from the Crystalline Vorex Collective, the gaseous Nebulan Consortium, and the silicon-based Lithian Confederation sat alongside the Xeraxian delegation, all united by a singular curiosity about humanity's quantum-adaptive technology. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez stood at the center of the chamber, a holographic representation of the adaptive system dancing around him like a living constellation of information. Colonel Elena Reyes stood nearby, her military background tempered by a diplomatic demeanor that spoke of careful, calculated openness. "We're not offering a weapon," Marcus began, his voice calm and clear. "We're offering a method of communication that transcends traditional technological barriers." Zanare, now a primary diplomatic liaison, stepped forward. "What humanity has created is not a defensive tool in the traditional sense. It is a living system of understanding." The chamber fell silent. The implications were profound. Most galactic civilizations viewed technology as a means of control, of establishing dominance. Humanity presented something entirely different, a technological approach based on mutual comprehension and growth. Lieutenant Vora, who had become a crucial bridge between human and Xeraxian understanding, provided detailed insights into how the quantum adaptive system worked. It wasn't just about protecting against threats, it was about transforming potential conflicts into opportunities for cooperation. A representative from the Lithian Confederation raised a complex series of light-based communications. "You propose to neutralize conflict through understanding?" Elena stepped forward. "We propose to resolve differences before they become conflicts. Our system doesn't just defend, it communicates, learns, and finds mutual solutions." The demonstration that followed left the assembled delegates speechless. The quantum adaptive system was presented with a series of complex interstellar communication challenges, scenarios that would have traditionally resulted in misunderstandings or potential warfare. Instead, the system generated solutions that not only prevented conflict but created pathways for deeper mutual understanding. One particularly striking moment came when the system successfully translated and resolved a centuries-old territorial dispute between the Vorex Collective and the Nebulan Consortium, a conflict that had seemed irreconcilable. It did so not by imposing a solution, but by helping both parties understand each other's fundamental needs and perspectives. "This is not diplomacy as we know it," murmured the Vorex representative, their crystalline form shimmering with a mixture of confusion and wonder. "This is something entirely new." Marcus understood the deeper significance. Humanity's greatest strength was not its technological prowess, but its ability to see potential for connection where others saw only difference. As the summit progressed, it became clear that something fundamental was changing. The quantum adaptive system was more than a technological innovation, it was a new approach to interstellar relations. It suggested that true strength lay not in the ability to destroy, but in the capacity to understand. Zanare summarized the sentiment that seemed to resonate through the chamber. Humanity has not just developed a new technology, they translated. They have proposed a new way of existing in the universe. The Galactic Concordance chamber buzzed with a newfound sense of possibility. Conflict seemed less inevitable. Understanding seemed not just possible, but preferable. The universe was watching. And humanity was rewriting the rules of engagement. 5 years had passed since the initial Xeraxian encounter that had forever changed humanity's place in the galactic community. The quantum adaptive system, once a closely guarded technological marvel, had transformed into a beacon of hope for interstellar cooperation. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of the Harmony Station, a collaborative space station that represented the pinnacle of multi-species technological integration. Around him, delegates from dozens of alien civilizations worked side by side, their once distinct technologies now woven together by the adaptive communication network humanity had pioneered. Colonel Elena Reyes approached, her stride still carrying the precision of her military background. "Hard to believe how far we've come," she said, gazing out at the vast starscape. Marcus nodded. The system they had created was more than a technological breakthrough, it was a fundamental reimagining of how intelligent species could interact. What had begun as a defensive mechanism had become a universal translator of not just languages, but of entire technological and cultural paradigms. Xanare, now a senior diplomatic advisor to the Galactic Concordance, joined them. The once aggressive Xeraxian had become a passionate advocate for the collaborative approach humanity had introduced. The greatest weapon, Xanare reflected, their translation carrying a depth of emotion, was never about destruction. It was about understanding. The Harmony Station itself was a testament to this philosophy. Technologies that would have once been incompatible now worked in seamless concert. The quantum adaptive system had become a living bridge between civilizations, finding common ground where once there had been only conflict. A crisis emerged that would truly test the new paradigm. Deep space sensors detected an approaching anomaly, a massive energy signature that defied conventional understanding. Previous generations might have responded with fear, with weapons, with preparation for conflict. Instead, the collaborative teams of the Harmony Station approached the unknown with curiosity and open communication. Marcus watched as the quantum adaptive system began its analysis. It wasn't just scanning the anomaly, it was attempting to understand it. Layers of complex data were translated, interpreted, reinterpreted. Where traditional systems would see a potential threat, this network saw a puzzle to be solved, a communication to be understood. Elena monitored the strategic implications. It's not about being prepared to fight, she explained to the assembled delegates. It's about being prepared to understand. The anomaly proved to be something unprecedented, a massive, sentient energy formation that had been wandering the galaxy, unable to communicate with any species it had encountered. Previous civilizations would have either attacked or fled. Humanity's system began a complex process of communication that was less about defense and more about mutual comprehension. Hours turned into days. The energy formation slowly revealed its nature, an ancient collective consciousness that had been isolated for millennia, unable to connect with any other form of intelligence. We are not alone, the formation eventually communicated, its message translated through layers of adaptive technology. We are finally understood. The breakthrough was more than a scientific achievement. It was a philosophical revolution. Xanare turned to Marcus and Elena, their sensory appendages expressing a complex emotional state. This is why we explore, they said. Not to conquer. Not to defend. But to understand. As the Harmony Station continued its work, humanity had proven something fundamental about intelligence itself. True strength was not about the ability to destroy, but about the capacity to connect, to learn, to grow. The universe was vast. And humanity had just begun to explore its true potential. In the observation deck, against the backdrop of infinite stars, three beings from different worlds stood united by a simple, powerful truth: understanding was the most powerful weapon of all.